get our guys a little time off. The guys had the weekend off, Friday, Saturday. Coaches got to get out recruiting, and now also had an opportunity for us to go ahead and take a look at what we've done the first 7 games, what we've been successful at, what we need to get better at. And so while we didn't practice a ton last week, we had a couple good practices on Tuesday, Wednesday, came back on Sunday, and now we're getting ready for a big week this week.
What did you find in that self-evaluation?
Well, I think what we found from a productivity standpoint, we're giving up big plays are hurting us. From our explosive plays, I think especially against Michigan State, hurt us there in the second half, or excuse me, the last 2 drives of the second quarter when we had made it a game and gave up a couple of big plays. Kids just taking chances. All right, we want guys to be aggressive, stress turnovers. We went after a couple decisions, maybe we're a little too aggressive and ended up being a couple big plays against a pretty darn good football team as well.
I don't know if it's completely fair, but I guess a case could be made because the offense is retooling that, some burden in the Michigan game, maybe more than previous, falls on the defense to kind of help the offense out.
Well, I think obviously our guys did that first half did a very good job offensively against a very good defensive football team, and I think it's going to be the rest of the way out where we've got to be able to pull our weight too when the opportunity arises. Like last week against Michigan State, we took the lead. It's time for us to step up and get a big stop, and that's where we've, at times have failed this year. And we've talked about being offense, defense, working on each other, working with each other. When we need a stop, we need to go out there and give the ball back to the offense. And so, is it going to be a little bit, we realize the attack may be a little bit different than it's been in the past, and that's where we got to step up this week and in the weeks coming up.
With all the young guys that have played, are they starting to approach the level that you would expect them to be at this time of the year? I mean, how close are they, I guess, to some of the older guys?
Well, I think T. Scales is a guy that's again made a big interception against Michigan State. It's a guy that continues coming. I think the bye week came at a good time for him. We haven't played as many games as they'll play in high school, just the pounding and the wear and tear on some of these young kids. So the Donovan Clarks, the T. Scales, the Greg Gooches, Robert McCrae's, the young guys, Tony Fields, those guys that are in their very first year of football, hopefully they were able to catch their breath a little bit and get ready for a stretch of real physical football. Michigan and Penn State and the teams coming up will be physical contests for us.
How would you play for corners so far? It seems like Coach Wilson called out Tim Bennett, Mike Hunter last week as guys you need to see step up in the second half.
Well, I think we just need to continue consistency, all right, confidence. At times there's been times where, we haven't been real confident at that position, and maybe, I think they're both got a great skill set. And, we're in position a couple times to make plays against Michigan State, and it just fell short a little bit. But I think for those 2 players especially, and Donovan Clark, who is a young man that continues to push them as well, and Rashard Fant, is just to play with confidence. And we need to do a much better job up front. They're having a lot of time to throw the football, and whether it's our 4-man rushes, our pressures, it kind of builds on each other. And it's hard to blame anybody in the secondary when we're not forcing that ball out quicker. And so I think that the blame goes around. It's just not our one position area. We could certainly speed up the process.
Brian, when you talk a little bit about going for a play and not quite making it, when Donovan goes for that interception, doesn't quite get it, is that okay? I mean, not that he didn't get it, but do you want him to be aggressive, and maybe was he just one of the case where just football sometimes is a game of inches?
Well, I think it is us being able to put our young men in those positions and practices on how the chances to take when you're a half field player, when you can take a chance, when you're a third player, where's my help? And so those are situations where we've got to put our guys and simulate those situations. We've tried that in the off week, whether it's going against our guys, continuing to try to put them in those positions where they know when I need to take that chance. We don't want our guys to be out there and not be able to take chances and be able to make plays. We're stressing we've got to be able to take the ball back. As we continue to look at ourselves and how many turnovers we've created. Right there, our margin isn't bad, but it's not because we've created a bunch of turnovers. And so we stress that all the time, and we need to continue simulating that. So I think understanding, when they can take those opportunities. By Donovan, we want him to be aggressive out there. I think a lot of it's decision-making at the right time.
And again, especially the young guys, to ignore the 100,000 around them and ignore the fact that it's Michigan with the helmets. They've grown up watching this. How do you get them to ignore that, to play the team in front of them?
Well, I think it all comes back to trusting their technique, and whether we're simplifying things for our guys, especially our young kids back there. Kids that are freshmen. Certainly, it'll be an atmosphere that many of them have not seen so far, and so just being able to trust their technique and what they're being taught every day. Being able to put them in good positions when it is a pressure situation, making sure that ball's sped up. If it is a drop 8, making sure they know where their help is. And so our ability for our young guys to continue to stress their technique, I think, is the biggest point that we want to build on.
What are your impressions of Michigan, especially as more of a...
Well, I think that obviously they're a talented group. Whether they've shown that talent at times, it's a situation where maybe they haven't had as much success offensively but they still, Gardner's a very talented player who's made in Funchess. They've got some very talented players. They're running backs that have stepped in, are guys that can go to the distance on you at any point. So we've got to do a good job at realizing where number one is, being able to obviously continue to be more consistent. I think that's the biggest thing for us. At times, consistency, we do a nice job, but the big plays and the lack of consistency, I think a couple of the big play drives we had the last Saturday were 3 and 5 play series of drives over 60 yards. So I think us really focusing on ourselves, certainly they've got guys that can get you on any down, but we got to worry more about ourselves right now. Okay, thank you, guys. All right.